Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. We're going to dive deep into all of this and more. This is Pop Kannon. This is episode 34. My name is Jordan.
And I am Robert.
And I am Brian.
And that is it.
Yeah.
Just
skeleton crew.
Yeah.
Just the three of us. So here we are, 34 episodes in. We're going to talk Birds of Prey. What did everybody think of it off the top?
I'm going to start this with 6 words that I just have to give a preface for that. There's a reviewer I like by the name of Dan Merle. He's one of several I watch on YouTube. He reviews with Roth Cornett on Fandom Entertainment, used to be Screen Junkies. And about a month and a half ago, they reviewed Rise of Skywalker, and he said these 6 words that just stuck with me because they were so simple and so perfect, and it made me laugh because of that movie. He said, "I did not like this movie," and that is that is how I feel about Birds of Prey. I didn't hate it, but I did not like it.
Okay, fair enough.
Fair. I did enjoy this movie. I enjoyed this movie a lot, and it even surpassed kind of my expectations for it. I liked it a lot. It was fun.
Yeah, when the credits rolled, I don't know that I liked it as much as I do 3 or 4 days later, like simmering on it, having time to think about it, because I saw it Thursday evening.
Right.
And you, Brian, you saw it yesterday, and Jordan, you saw it this morning.
Yep.
Right.
So, like, having time to kind of sit with what happened, because there's a lot that happens.
Mm-hmm.
They really try to cover a lot of ground and cram a lot into this.
Yeah.
I did enjoy more than I didn't. And the stuff that I didn't like is probably not as glaring as it was when I was sitting there, you know?
Fair.
And if I were to watch this back, I'd probably, if I saw this a second time, I think I would actually, like, turn the full corner and love it. So,
wow. Okay.
And like Jordan, the word you used was fun, and I had fun watching it. I thought they did a really good job of just, like, making me enjoy it. There was a lot of positive stuff that happened for me, so.
Yeah, I guess the thing leaving the theater was just I felt disappointed. I tried to go in with, like, super low expectations, not having seen Suicide Squad, I'll never have the yearn to watch Suicide Squad. So the expectations I went in with were like, well, everyone told me that Margot Robbie was the best thing out of Suicide Squad, so I'm just expecting her to be at least, just good in this, if not great, and then hopefully to be at least mildly entertained. And she definitely was good. She was really awesome in that role, and so now I see what everyone says about her as Harley Quinn. Yeah. But other than her, well, and I should say the other performances, all the other actors and actresses, I think they did a great job. But the script was a real problem for me. Like, I just had real problems with the script.
Yeah, and it kind of jumped around. And I think that was Amanda's biggest issue with it was just like, she was just like, will they focus? But I think and it's probably something that Jordan wants to get into more than anything, is like her doing the narrating.
Mm.
Oh yeah.
That was annoying.
She's the what is it?
Unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
And I think that while I think they were going for a bit of that, I think some of that might also be writing armor.
I think you're right with that, and I think that if they had wanted us to feel like that's one of the things I didn't like about the script was all the jump backwards, jumps backward. There were like 4 of them over the course of about 2 weeks, and then one back 15 years. Yeah, like if they had wanted us to feel like the movie was, because it was narrated by her, that we were inside her head.
Yeah,
I feel like there should have been more inside her head stuff other than just like, oh wait, I'm not telling this story right, let me go back this amount of time.
Right.
I feel like it was more on the line, more along the lines of writing armor, of what you were saying.
See, in my opinion on that is, it was chaotic jumping around, but at no point was I ever lost. Like, when is this happening?
No, they were pretty clear about that.
I thought it tied together really well at the end, just kind of when she was done going through everything. And then also bouncing off of the point of taking place in her head, the entire 5-minute opening, like, it was abundantly clear that, like, she was like, got my heart broken a couple of times, and it showed, like, there were at least 3 or 4 relationships there where that had happened.
And one was a girl.
Yeah.
And it looked like Poison Ivy.
See, I didn't catch that, but
it
okay.
did. It looked a lot like it looked a lot like a redhead.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think the intention, and I don't know if this is true. I think I read 1 or 2 things about the possibility of this, but this might be the first in a Harley Quinn trilogy. Where the first one is Birds of Prey, and the second one is Gotham City Sirens, and then the third one would be Birds of Prey versus Gotham City Sirens.
Huh. Interesting.
Which I think I saw 2 or 3 tweets about that. So for me, there's kind of like where there's smoke, there's fire, and they're kind of seeing where this goes.
Yeah, I don't know. You might be right. I don't know if this movie's performance will have that happen, because
it opened to 33.
It opened well below expectations. I think it was I think Warner Brothers was expecting at least 45.
I think I first saw 50, and then they were
that was the
projecting
industry.
40.
That was the industry expectation. But yeah, and Warner Brothers, the studio itself always tries to downplay it, so they were like, "Oh no, it'll just do 45," but it didn't do that.
And then I saw 40 floated out there, and then the numbers today I saw was 33. Yeah. So a little bit under, but I think honestly, with some good word of mouth, because I've seen a lot of positive feedback for it from fans, like on Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. I don't know that it'll get a bump, but it'll certainly maintain. I think there's going to be the drop off, obviously, but I think with word of mouth, it's going to maintain a little bit.
A good indicator of word of mouth, usually for me, when I see correlations, is with the cinema score. The cinema score for it is a B+, which is okay. It's not great. It's not bad. Usually with that word, whether it's going to get word of mouth or not is a crapshoot. If it's getting an A and it didn't have a huge first weekend, or an A+, it usually probably has a better second week, because that does guarantee word of mouth's going to get around.
One thing that I found interesting was while we were watching it, and the opening video starts playing, and it's showing like the heroes from DC for their like DC Films kind of logo. I was like, this is the first DC film to not have any of those major players featured.
Yeah, that's true.
It's really a risk, honestly.
Yeah,
it's a huge gamble to like. They're selling it on Margot. They're selling it on the popularity of the character Harley Quinn. I think they're kind of selling it on a girl power thing.
Yeah,
and they're hoping that the 3 of those kind of push it forward. And I mean, I think it delivered in those 3 aspects.
Yeah, absolutely. Their budget was $84 million estimated.
Okay.
So, I mean, I'd like to see them at least break even.
I think it's possible.
I think it's very possible. Like the whole word of mouth thing, I think we'll see a bump coming up before the drop off. Honestly.
But let's get into what happens. Yeah. Because honestly, we've mentioned it a few times, that opening 5 minutes of like that cartoon of her backstory, I liked, because for people like Brian who did not watch Suicide Squad, it's like here we are. I liked that. I thought it was cool, and I like that it kind of allows them to frame where they want this to be with her, rather than you just rolling in knowing what happened previously.
And it kind of sets your expectations, like, okay, so we probably won't actually get the Joker in this film.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of explaining where she's at in her headspace, which I liked. I liked that a lot. I liked the animation that they used.
Me too.
Yeah, and I think they did a really good job highlighting her emotional status and like her mental status after a breakup.
Yeah, definitely.
So she was acting like very on point to like someone who just had their heart broken.
I thought the opening animation was okay. It didn't really do much for me. I thought it was well animated, I guess. I don't know. It did like give me a weird vibe, and I was like, oh, they're starting the movie off like this. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I guess the first big thing I have to say is like, I don't think they should have called it Birds of Prey.
Yeah, considering that was only like the last 15 minutes of it.
Yeah, and that they weren't really in much of it even before that,
Yeah.
They all got maybe about like 10, 15 minutes of screen time each. It was really Harley Quinn's movie, and I don't know why they didn't just have it be Harley Quinn.
They could have called it like Harley Quinn's Birds of Prey or something like that.
They could have just called it Harley Quinn. They just had a movie named Joker. So,
right.
I mean, Harley Quinn is an established enough character that they obviously wanted to have a movie with her as the main character. Why don't they just call it Harley Quinn? You want to have Black Mask be the villain for that? That's fine. Mm-hmm. I wish he would have lived because he's a great villain. He's a great villain in comics and so forth. But yeah, I kind of thought it was weird that this is called Birds of Prey, and yet it was Harley from the beginning and Harley to the end, and then they were just kind of in there at some point. And I get like if that's what they're planning, like if they're planning a trilogy where it is going to be Gotham City Sirens versus Birds of Prey, then you had to get them established somehow. But yeah, just weird that they titled it that and it really wasn't a Birds of Prey movie.
See, I don't necessarily have an issue with that. The entire time you're watching the trailers, it's abundantly clear that Harley's the main character of the story.
Definitely.
Especially the fact that she's like a narrator. So I don't necessarily have an issue with calling it Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation. Like, obviously, you're not going to call it that whole thing. It's just going to be Birds of Prey.
I guess I feel like they wasted the Birds of Prey on this. I feel like because we got them for a few minutes at the end of the movie. Like, I feel like they were wasted in this. I feel like it would have been better had they not been involved at all.
I think had they called it just Harley, like Harley Quinn, the name has way more cachet than the name Birds of Prey.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the decision to put both names into the title, and then after the I think public reaction to that subtitle where people were kind of like, what? They kind of pulled that back a little bit. They weren't saying it in trailers after that very first like teaser where you saw it and you were like, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. They kind of removed that from the marketing more or less and just kind of tried to sell you on Birds of Prey, and then showed them teaming up for most of the film, and then you realize that was pretty much like the end of the movie.
I can't help but feel that maybe whoever came up with the title had seen the same Simpsons episode that makes me think of whenever I see the title, where it was all about Troy McClure, and by the end of the episode, he's in a movie called Professor Horatio Huffnagel's Contrabulous Fabtration, and like I just whenever I see the Fantabulous Emancipation, I'm like, oh my god, it's Professor Horatio Huffnagel. What the fuck is going on? Yeah, like.
Well, I know Margot Robbie has said like in interviews and stuff that she really likes longer titled movies and books and stuff like that, and she mentioned the film that she was talking about that kind of inspired the longer title, and it escapes me at the moment, but there was like a reason she was like, yeah, I really like the longer titled films and stuff.
She must also like 2000s emo bands, because that was like a hallmark for them, was just massively long song titles. But yeah, she was not only acting in this, but she was one of the major producers of it.
Well, that's cool.
So this film really from start to finish was her baby. So
she went from working on Once Upon a Time in Hollywood while she was also doing pre-production work on Birds of Prey, and then throughout filming for Birds of Prey, she was also working on Suicide Squad with James Gunn. So
the second Suicide Squad. Wow.
Yeah. So
that's a lot. That's getting stretched pretty thin, and then having to be in those headspaces for like Harley Quinn and then Sharon Tate.
Right.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
But I think honestly, what I liked most about this was the fact that you could tell she was enjoying herself to the fucking max.
Yeah.
Like, it seemed like she was having fun. And because she was having fun, I enjoyed watching it because she was having fun. But I really let's talk about not necessarily your favorite character, but just the characters that we had laid out for us. Because there were several in this that we kept circling around a few times and then going backward and forward and meeting them again. And once the film came together with everybody at the end, you were like, oh, now we could move forward. I'll start with Black Canary because it was a non-traditional look at that character.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoyed how she was acted. And I really enjoyed just like her whole demeanor in the film. I really liked her. She was one of the standouts for me.
Yeah, I agree. Mm-hmm.
I agree with that. Yeah, she was very different from the Arrowverse version of that character, which I liked. So getting that fresh take from her and through her performance was really cool. And apparently, Gail Simone went on set. She fell in love with that character. And she's like, that's the Black Canary that I write for a living.
Oh, shit. That's cool.
She, like, exudes that character and, like, gets it completely.
But I love that she was, like, able to hold her own in, like, a fist fight. And I'd really like for them to explore her a little bit further.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, that you took the words out of my mouth. I just wish we had gotten more time with her, and really the character that I wanted to see more of was Huntress.
Yeah.
She was the most compelling to me. But yeah, quick question for you, Jordan. On the TV show, is the Black Canary Dinah Lance?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So it is the same character basically then, or not? Same named character. Mm-hmm. Okay, I thought maybe like because they Montoya mentions her mother, I was like, oh, is she the daughter of the Black Canary that we all know? No, okay.
Yeah, and I think we could all agree that we wanted more from Huntress, or just more out of Huntress as a character.
That was basically like one of my critiques of the film is I wish we got more time with Huntress. I wish we got more time.
They gave you like a skeleton, bare bones, like here's her backstory and this is her motivation, and moved you forward for it. Mm-hmm. But to really explore her more would be cool too.
Just really any character development, For me it was just Huntress, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying characters in general.
We had Rosie Perez as Renee Montoya.
My least favorite character in the movie.
Same. Yeah.
I think she was the least interesting, but I don't necessarily think she was disinteresting.
But I also think we maybe spent too much time with her.
Yeah, I agree.
I really like the way that they introduced her, though. In that opening scene where she's going through everything.
Yeah, that was cool.
I'm not complaining about what we got, but if there's more Black Canary and Huntress on the cutting room floor and they filled it with more Renee Montoya, like maybe reverse that.
Yeah.
Because like I didn't need to like hang out with her and find out that she's an alcoholic and all this stuff. Like they really it was like Harley Quinn, and then like sub was like Renee Montoya, and then everybody else. I felt like. See,
I felt like we were with Cassandra Cain a little too much.
Yes. Oh my God.
I agree with that as well. Yeah.
She was, and that's why Cassandra Cain, the character in this movie, is the biggest reason why I'm sad Paul wasn't able to join us.
Yeah.
Because he, just from the trailers, was ripping the fact that it's not like Cassandra Cain from the comic books, who was like a badass apparently,
and became a Batgirl.
Yeah. Instead, I applaud this for other movies, so I'll applaud it here. They took a character that exists that could, I guess, potentially move forward into that role in the future. Like, will we ever know? Maybe. And they took a name that exists rather than just but they created their own character and just slapped a different name on her. a familiar name on her. But I will say that I enjoyed the dynamic between her and Harley Quinn, and like Harley Quinn trying to protect her and selling her out and all that stuff. I enjoyed that leaps and bounds more than I enjoyed anything that happened in Deadpool 2. So, which to me was like the connection I kept making watching this. And I think that I enjoyed this way more than I enjoyed Deadpool 2.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it'd be about the same for me, because I didn't enjoy Deadpool 2 that much.
Yeah.
I still haven't watched it again.
Nope.
But I've watched the first one endlessly.
Right, of course. And I think that they were really trying to, maybe without saying it, or maybe that was like an intention on theirs deliberately, was to try to, what if Deadpool was a girl and that's Harley Quinn?
I got that feeling. Yeah, no, I definitely got that feeling from this. Like, this was, she had a couple of sides to the camera breaking the fourth wall.
Yep.
Which I don't think, as far as I know, from what I've heard from people, it doesn't happen in Suicide Squad.
No.
Yeah,
well, because that's not her story, though. She was just like a character in Suicide Squad.
Yeah, the only reason it's passable for me here is because she's narrating.
Right. No, and that's fair. I'm just saying that
it
definitely did come off to me as, whether intentional or not, that they were trying to make a Deadpool for DC,
Mm-hmm. And I think that, there's room for that, for sure.
Why not?
If you and I noticed it and we didn't discuss that before we started talking, how glaring was it for everybody else? I was like, oh, they're doing a Deadpool thing.
Right.
Because I don't know that this movie needed the R rating, and that might be the reason it didn't do as well.
That's entirely possible. And I guess there are some things that, you couldn't get away with, obviously, in a PG-13 movie, but you can still have blood in a PG-13 movie. You just have to cut down on the severed limbs and shit. So, because you're definitely limiting your audience.
Yeah,
Brian, you had children in your viewing.
Yeah, I saw kids in mine.
I had
too.
I had kids in my viewing, and I mean, I remember when we worked at the bookstore that shall not be named. I had parents ask me if they could take their kids to see the first Deadpool, and I was like, you probably shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's way too vulgar for your fucking 12-year-old.
Super violent.
Yeah,
more than the vulgarity.
A lot of parents don't even care about the violence. They were like, "Are there?" They literally asked me, "They're like, are there boobs?" And I was like, yeah, like, the strip club scenes where they draw the line, but him slicing off 3 heads in a row, not a big deal.
He eviscerates a guy. Like, what? You have no problem with that? Like,
but yeah, I mean, I think that they deliberately set out for the R rating here, and I think Margot said that in an interview or something like that, where she was like, no, we want to prove that, like, you can have, like, because girl action movies are PG-13, that she said they're, like, deemed chick flicks.
Yeah.
So they went for the R rating to prove that, like, that's not what that is, And I like the idea, but I don't know that it was 100% necessary. I mean, they cursed, like, a ton, and that was cool for me, because I have no issue with that at all.
Of course.
There was like I don't know how old she was, but there was a girl with her like 2 parents next to us that like sat down, and I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah.
Like, the very first thing, she's like, fuck this. And I was like, uh-oh. Let's see where this goes. Are they going to walk out? Like,
Robbie, you mentioned like the kind of the girl power thing. So, me, I have no real problem with, a political agenda or social agenda being in a movie, as long as it's like well written, and it like serves the story. But much like how I felt with The Last Jedi or Captain Marvel, I felt like this was beating me over the head with a sledgehammer. Like,
did you?
Oh, I disagree.
And the reason I say that is because every male in the movie is a complete and total piece of shit.
Yeah.
Except for one, but even he ends up betraying her. So he's a piece of shit too. So it just like that came off to me as I'm watching it. Like it just it smacked of not being subtle at all.
See, I didn't take what happened in the movie to be beating me over the head with it the way Captain Marvel had moments where you're like, oh my fucking god. For me, it seemed sort of more natural, where it just so happened that the guys were the villains.
And part of the reason why I disagree so much with that is because the circles that Harley Quinn, that type of character, hangs around, she's not hanging around with nice people.
No.
You know?
They're all like monsters, and then once they get the go-ahead, it's like all bets are off. You know, once they find out she's no longer with Joker and under Joker's protection or whatever, you know, it's like open season on her, which I thought was like an interesting dynamic to see play out. And it wasn't just men after her; there was women trying to kill her too. And I think
there were a few, yeah.
They made that pretty clear. Like, it's not just men, but yeah, all of the villains were men.
With Roman,
mm-hmm.
he's a misogynist asshole.
Yeah.
With no real explanation as why. And I get, like, that's fine if you want to have a paper thin villain like that, but it doesn't make him interesting. At least to me. He evidently just hated women. Okay. And maybe if you didn't have what I felt like the agenda there, like maybe that flies a little better, but to me again it just felt like it was part of that. Like, oh well, this is a girl power movie, so it needs to be we need to have real misogynist assholes be the villains instead of having a more layered, complex villain. In my opinion, that would have worked better, you know?
I think Ewan McGregor made the character way more interesting than he was probably written to be.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. Like, that's what I meant. And that's what I meant early on saying, like, the performers all did a really good job. I think Ewan McGregor did a really good job with what he was given.
Whereas for me, Victor Zsasz was probably the worst character in the movie.
Unfortunately,
I fucking hated him on screen. I hated that personification of him. I really didn't understand what his deal was. Like, is he turned on by the violence? Like, it was really like he kind of did a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And none of them for me like worked. And then I read that John Leguizamo was in talks to play that character, and I was like, oh, thank fucking Christ he didn't do this.
Yeah, when they said
that's all
Zsasz,
I would have been talking about was like, God, that sucked. Like,
yeah, when they said Zsasz early on, I was like, oh wow, shit, he's the DCEU Zsasz, okay. And then we got what we got from him. I'm like, oh all right.
Yeah, I just there was a lot of like I disliked him on screen the most. And then maybe Renee Montoya second. And all of the people that came with Renee Montoya, like her ex DA,
the captain,
and the captain. I was like, I don't need any of that, like at all. Like I could have done with the DA being her ex, so you're kind of like understanding who that character is,
right? But then the captain who screwed her over,
totally unnecessary.
Yeah, like it's just
totally unnecessary.
It's just piling on at that point.
Yeah. Totally fucking unnecessary to the entire story. I feel like because it really was of no consequence one way or the other.
I really liked Ewan McGregor's performance.
Dude, I thought his performance was
really
great.
Good. The way that I pictured that character is he's just a spoiled rich kid. Like he's douchey and he owns his own club and he's like that type of character. Like that's why it made sense to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like he's a misogynist just to be a misogynist, but I didn't get that vibe.
I didn't get that either, but I also didn't ever take that character to be as flamboyant as he was. He really played that up, and I was like, that's an interesting take for that.
See,
okay.
I do. I picture Roman Sionis as like a showman because of all the masks and everything, and he travels to different parts of the world and collects the masks from them and stuff like that. And it's just because he didn't earn any of it. He's being handed things because he's a spoiled rich piece of shit.
Well, that leads into like one of my biggest problems with the script, that things kind of just happen and there's very little explanation and very little consequence. One of those is the moment is when he actually puts on the black mask towards the end of the movie. You see like a flash of him in it earlier. They show like another like flashback or something, but then later he goes to put it on and it's like the music ramps up and it's this moment that I suppose is supposed to have impact, but we are given prior to that no explanation as to one, why he wears the black mask, what that particular mask means to him, and it's treated like a really big moment. And I was just like the whole time, like, wait, what is this? Like, why is this important? You know, other than the fact that he's Black Mask. Like, yeah, I get it. Like, if
they had so much as been like, you don't want Roman to put on the mask, and they had like people mention that throughout. Right. Maybe
like that brings out a different side of him, or I don't know, you know.
Yeah, I think that if there was a moment earlier, like maybe in the scene where they're peeling people's faces off, if he was wearing the mask then,
right,
and then you go back to him and he's like in his like loft and he's sitting in there in his brightly colored pajamas and he's not wearing the mask and he's super friendly. You know, then maybe you'd be like, "Oh shit!"
Or that right before the faces start to get peeled, he has to put the mask on, like
right to be that.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so that was like one of those things.
I get that. Because I was like, "Oh, cool, he's putting the mask on," but that was my reaction was, "Oh, cool, he's putting the mask on."
And that's what I had too. But again, like it's one of those things. Like I don't know. Like there's no explanation for it. Like. But then
I wasn't saying, "Oh fuck, he's putting his mask on." I was going, "Oh,
hey.
cool, the mask."
Oh, hey.
Yeah.
It was that thing when you
there's
and
a
Andrew
subtle
and I
difference there.
Just all nudging each other, like, "Hey, he's gonna put the mask on."
Right, right. There's a difference to that because if he's putting it on and I'm like dreading that he's gonna like he's going there, then it changes the complexity of that.
Right.
But for me, it didn't do that. You know, so I understand where you're coming from for that.
Another one was like the attack on Harley's apartment. So she and Cassandra are sitting watching TV, and then someone knocks on the door and says it's the cops. And whether it was or not, we don't know. So they start to head for the window, and then they look out, and then Seth Rollins is in the back of a pickup truck, and he launches a firebomb, slingshots a firebomb. He then burns it down. And they go out onto the street, and whoever was claiming to be the cop is nowhere to be found, and then the pickup truck is gone, and they just go to talk to Doc about his betrayal. And like so that whole sequence, I was like, wait, what? Like, I don't know if they cut something or if that again was dropped altogether, but like that scene, I was like, wait, what? Like that really, as I was in my car thinking about it, like, what the fuck was going on with that scene? Like,
yeah. And I don't like to write the movie for them, so I don't want to assume what was happening.
Exactly.
But like the impression that I got was that possibly the people that blew up the apartment and the people that were knocking on the door were not the same people.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like we don't know. Like was it the cops? It could have been the cops. And
maybe they died in the bombing. And that's why they weren't at the door when they left.
And then, but then why did the pickup truck just drive away?
Take off, assuming that she was dead or something.
Right.
Because they're like the worst criminals.
Early on, I did have a problem with the what I've labeled this magical block of Gotham City, where as Harley, you know, I get that Harley is walking across the street and Montoya just sees her and gets out of her car. I get that Montoya happens upon her, but then as Harley is running, she runs into literally everyone she has ever wronged ever in the span of a city block, and I'm just like, come on, like I get like the first one, like when she tried to. From the roller derby, she tries to drop a air conditioner on her or something like that. I'm like, oh, okay. Right. But then she just keeps running into people. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Does she have a GPS on her? Like, did someone LoJack her? What is going on? Like,
they're just aware where she normally fucks around, and that's why they all triangulated her position.
They were using the Harley Quinn ways.
Right. Yeah, I mean, for me that, like, I don't. At that point in the film, I wasn't thinking too critically. I was just kind of like, "Oh, this is fun." Just like watching her get into a situation she has to get out of, and I'm like, "How the fuck is that going to happen?" Mm-hmm. I wasn't upset about it, but I get it. You know, I just was like, at that point, having so much fun watching all of this occur.
Yeah. I guess the only other problem then with that is like the police station or the police precinct. I thought that was a really cool sequence that started when she goes in with the rocket launcher and she's using the dummy rounds. But then, of course, they halt the momentum of that to do let me go back and explain, you know, the past 4 days or something like that.
Let me go back and explain shit that nobody cares about to get to the fun shit again.
Exactly. So I felt like that scene was interrupted. But then again, what bothered me is that she gets to the evidence room And we also get like these Gotham bikers with automatic weapons that just go into the police precinct, and evidently no one stops them.
Right.
Well,
she took them out in her wake.
Yeah,
she didn't take out all the cops.
No.
Like, she clearly didn't. And it's a big building, and I'm just like, and then they start to have like a fight, and they're shooting in the evidence room, and the only police officer that shows up is Montoya.
It's Montoya, right?
And I'm like, oh, okay. Because we need
through
her
the back door. Montoya comes in through the back door too. She didn't even show up through the front.
Because we need to have Montoya have a confrontation with Harley to set up later on, So to me, that's just an example of like the laziness of the script. Like, there's just stuff that happens, and there's no consequences from it or explanation for it.
I did like that scene though.
Oh, look, so I really liked the action.
Yeah.
I thought it was really well done. It wasn't fucking shaky cam. It was done in wide shot. Like, I thought it was most of it was done in wide shot. Like, I thought it was really well done. The fights and it
was most of them doing their own stunts.
I was gonna say most of them did their own stunts.
That's really cool.
Like, Margot had to do all of that stuff on the roller skates.
Dude,
I'm sure.
The car chase with the roller skates, I thought that was
cool.
So much fun.
That was nuts.
Whip me.
And then at the end of it, the wheels fucking came off.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah, there was... I did like a lot more than I didn't like in this film.
So what's everyone's favorite scene then?
I was trying to... I've been thinking about it, like, since I left the theater. Like, what am I going to say what my favorite scene is? Like, that last battle was cool with all those bad guys, but there's just so much happening that, the car chase is awesome. But I really got to think that it's the scene with the dummy rounds in the precinct.
It was really cool.
Like, rather than killing them, she's like sandbagging them, and it's exploding with like confetti. And then there was like a paint one, or like a smoke bomb one, or whatever the fuck those were. Right. They were smoke bombs. I thought that was so fucking neat.
Yeah.
And it looked incredible.
Oh, it looked great. The colors were really good. Cool. Throughout the whole movie, though, like the color palette throughout the whole movie was really great.
That's one of the things that I really do give a thumbs up on, is that the cinematography was great. It was shot really, really, really well. There was no point at which anything was incoherent to me. I knew where everyone was in a scene.
Spatially, yeah.
Yeah, and that's not just the cinematography, that's the editing as well. It was edited very well.
I really also like a sub answer to my favorite scene is when Black Canary saves Harley Quinn from getting pulled into that van.
Oh,
that fight scene was fucking awesome.
Kicks galore.
Yeah, she was so good. She was so good in that, and I was like, they're letting Black Canary fight. Like, she's not just Canary crying.
Right.
Even though towards the end of the film, when they get hunkered down, I'm like, all right, she's got to do it now.
Right.
And like, I'm expecting it the entire time, but she doesn't. So I like, if you don't know that that's what the character's capable of, that was like a what the fuck.
Yeah.
But if you do know that that's what the character's capable of, you're like anticipating it the entire time, and then you finally get it.
Absolutely. I agree.
So I liked that a lot.
That's my favorite scene, the Battle of the Booby Trap.
Okay.
And really, from the point where it's on the funhouse floor to where then Canary uses her power, like that was my favorite sequence. I will say that it was kind of for me. I almost just said, "Oh, what the fuck?" when they're walking out of the funhouse. And they don't think at all that there might be someone there to shoot them, and then someone shoots them. I was just like, I was kind of like, come on. But once the scene then got better, because once they're out of ammo, I was just like, oh, she's gonna do it. This is when she does it, and when she did it, I got goosebumps. Like that. Yeah. That was really fucking awesome.
Yeah, Brian, that's my favorite scene as well. That whole like battle at the booby trap sequence. I loved the set piece that they worked with.
Dude, the set piece was so cool.
Yeah.
And I was a big fan of them basically passing around Cassandra like between the good guys and the bad guys, like nabbing her, and then they have to like fight to get her back. It kind of brought me back to like Endgame when everyone's fighting over the gauntlet and they have to come up with creative ways how to make sure that she's not being taken.
And everyone was protected. Like Montoya protected her. Like all of them protected her in that sequence, which was super cool.
Yeah. I think I have like a second sub favorite scene, and that's the flashback with Huntress, with her family and what happened to them and the Bertinellis and stuff like that.
Yeah. I loved that. I loved in that scene that they tied all of those guys in that Huntress kills in the movie.
Yep.
That I liked. Yeah, definitely.
That was super cool because like that was it's probably not intentional, but I got Mask of the Phantasm vibes.
Yep.
Little bit.
Where and the last guy is like kind of unknown, and then it's revealed that it's Zaz and she killed him, and she's like, I'm done.
And the best part is like that is that character. Like that's ripped right from the comics.
But I wanted to know, who is she training with in Sicily?
Right.
Because they kind of made it seem like it was Batman and Robin.
Huh. I didn't pick up on that at all, but that's a really good point because it was two guys.
It was two guys. One of them was clearly younger, and the other one was clearly just watching. And they don't show their faces. It's blurry. You can't tell who it is. But to me, it seemed fairly clear that they were not saying who it was, but they were like, "It's fucking Batman."
She's in Sicily. She was just in Sicily.
Yeah.
Like Apollonia.
Interesting.
Did you get that, Jordan?
I kind of inferred it. I wasn't necessarily thinking Robin at the time, but now that you pointed that out, it made sense to me.
And in my head, it's more Dick Grayson, like, obvious.
Yeah.
Like, not one of these other Robins. It was like, for whatever reason, unless Sicily has their own Batman and Robin situation happening, Bruce and Dick are over there training her.
Yeah. But it'd be interesting because it would be Batfleck in this.
Yeah, like, and the guy that was blurry in the background while she was hand-to-hand fighting the younger guy had his arms folded and he was jacked.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, that's supposed to be Bruce, but we're not saying that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Like,
that's cool.
That's what I got from that.
And that lines up with that character's backstory.
Exactly. And that's the only reason I thought that from the beginning. I was like, are they going to show a Bruce and Dick in this? But they just kind of didn't.
They tiptoed
which
around
is the way that they handled Joker with Harley.
Yep.
They showed him, but they didn't show him.
Yeah.
You know, and the cartoon version of him was like not the Jared Leto version of that character, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah, the cartoon version wasn't, but then they showed the flashback to the Suicide Squad clip.
Yes.
Yeah, that obviously
and
was.
it was, but it
right
definitely didn't show his face.
Definitely did not. Yeah.
When he pulls her out of the vat of chemicals.
Oh, okay.
You're just like over the shoulder, which is the shot from Suicide Squad. You just don't get the reverse shot of his face looking at her, which is what I meant.
Right.
But yeah, there was like the flash of like his face, but it really was quick. Like they did not want you to see Jared Leto as Joker
Absolutely
at all.
not.
Which is super cool, and that aligns with my values, so I'm good with that moving forward. There was some other cool shit. I laughed my ass off during the egg sandwich sequence.
Oh my god.
I legitimately was laughing.
I was craving an egg sandwich too.
Yes. There was a tweet that I saw earlier today that was like, I don't know how good Birds of Prey is going to do this weekend. And for me, it's of no consequence. But I want to know how breakfast places near movie theaters are doing with egg sandwich sales this weekend.
Right.
Because that sandwich looked fucking incredible.
Yep.
And it definitely probably boosted sales of egg sandwiches.
So I had just eaten, and honestly, that was super unappetizing to me. Maybe if I hadn't had breakfast before, because I saw a morning matinee, so I had already had breakfast. I just really wasn't hungry at all, so that didn't. Yeah.
But I thought that scene was so fucking funny, and her just like abject sadness at it falling in front of her, and she just was weeping, was hilarious. hilarious.
Well, it's like,
what
else could go wrong in her life?
Exactly.
This is the one good thing in her life.
That was so fucking funny. I loved the hyena bit. I thought that was cool. I thought her having a hyena was cool.
Yeah, I thought the hyena being there was awesome.
Yeah.
Naming him Bruce was awesome.
Yeah.
And I think it's only a matter of time before we'll eventually get her 2 actual hyenas. But I know Margot Robbie was saying in an interview they had to settle for 1 because the CGI budget for it was like a lot. And to do 2 would be like way too much.
Well, you
ridiculous. Just go and you get 2 actual hyenas then.
Right, yeah, of course.
Well, that's another thing she said. She goes,
done deal.
We couldn't get 2 real ones,
right,
obviously.
Of course. Yeah.
So
I feel like if you could get a tiger for The Hangover, you could definitely get 2 hyenas. Like, are there no hyenas trained to be on film, like, at all?
Probably not. It's probably a very super niche. Yeah.
Yeah. Just like the people that she bought the hyenas from that wanted her to pay in any way that she could.
Uh-huh.
So she fucking murdered him.
Yes.
Which I was like, yes! She would murder that guy.
I think Harley was like so true to that character throughout.
I really felt like it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought the character, and again her performance, I thought it was good. It's interesting to me that the design choice for her in this was the least of my problems, when that was one of the reasons keeping me, that still I'm not seeing Suicide Squad. So it's just, that's fascinating to me. That's one of my biggest problems with it, and then I still liked her character and her performance.
Well, that's
Jordan,
another thing.
I think, did I say that to you? Did I say this to you, Jordan, separately?
You did,
like,
yeah. I was just about to bring it up.
I love, like, so as much as I think we all hated the idea of her having these trashy tattoos in Suicide Squad, breaking her away from Joker, those tattoos exist to just feed a deep amount of regret that the character now lives with. So now it's very true to life, where she looks in the mirror, she has rotten written on her jawbone. Right. Like, she has to see that now. And I think in the film, I don't know if it was just like the way that they filmed, if they just filmed the opposite side of her face or what, but like her face tattoos were not always visible.
You took the words out of my mouth. It really, other than showing that she added, cups to pudding,
right?
Like, you didn't really see almost any of her tattoos. You saw very little of them, and I think that was a conscious decision. I think that they
absolutely
probably heard a lot of
shit about
lot of shit, yeah, and we're like, let's just give her clothing that covers up a lot of stuff, and because she was nowhere near skimpy as the ass shorts or whatever they're called, the booty shorts, in Suicide Squad. Like,
and I liked all of the different costumes she had.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought they were really cool. They were really different. It was super interesting to like see all the crazy shit that she wears, and like in the middle of running from all these different people, she sees this like sequin fanny pack and needs to have it. Like, I just thought that was
shiny
fucking
thing.
Hilarious.
Squirrel.
Yeah, exactly. And then I don't know if it was because she did Hot Ones. She did the first episode.
Yes,
I
watched that.
Did they ask her what her favorite Harley tattoo was on that?
Yes.
Okay, and she said it was a dolphin jumping over or riding a rainbow on her hip, and
which we can't see.
And she explained that it was like a tattoo that Harley got when she was like 16 and just starting to like feel rebellious and all this shit, and she got it somewhere where her parents or like her caretakers or whatever wouldn't be able to see it, and all this stuff, and she just like, it's my favorite one because it's the most like innocent but also like the first stepping out of that rebellious nature of the character, which is just like the fact that she's thinking about that character on such a fucking micro level.
Yeah, that's great.
It just speaks volumes to the fact that that's how she's able to bring it to life like that.
Mm-hmm. And she would even say like, oh, well, I think Harley would do this and she would do this, and like she's thinking as Harley Quinn, which is really cool from an acting perspective.
Yeah,
because she takes it seriously. She's not like, oh, this is just the information that I'm given on this page, I'm going to read it back. She like
she didn't fucking Brie Larson it. That's for sure.
Hey.
exactly.
And Brie Larson has an Oscar. Anyway, so Brian, you didn't see Suicide Squad,
I did not.
Obviously. How do you feel about Margot's voice doing the Harley Quinn
again?
voice?
I think it's really good. I mean, look, nothing can beat Arlene Sorkin. You know, the Batman in the animated series version is always going to be the high bar that has to be met. You know, for anyone portraying Harley. But I think Margot does a really good job. I think she does a really good job.
Because in Suicide Squad and in this, it's one of my favorite things is how she speaks, the accent that she's using. Like, she's not like, it's her own version of it, but she's definitely spot on.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
in the Hot Ones, she even said, like, she didn't want to completely rip off the animated series. And then she was like, it's very apparent that she's got, like, a Brooklyn accent. So she's like, I wanted to kind of do, like, a more grounded version of the animated series, but still stay true to that character. And I think she really did that.
Absolutely.
With how she portrays Harley, if they're building up to Gotham City Sirens and she puts on the fucking classic, the classic outfit, and I would fucking lose it. That's how good she is in it. Like, I want that so badly. Like,
well, she was in it in Suicide Squad.
It's a clip.
I know.
You can probably find it on YouTube.
It's like a
and just watch
flashback,
that.
right?
Yeah.
And I've seen it, but again, it doesn't really count, you know.
Because it's more the Alex Ross painting of Joker and Harley in that costume, and it just, when they hit that pose, regardless of how shitty Jared Leto looked, like that, I get chills thinking about just seeing that live action, that painting be alive.
Right.
Like, that's so fucking cool to me. So, like, when they hit that pose, I was like, oh my god.
Yeah, it's cool.
Know?
I want that in
that
feature
costume.
length.
Yeah. I'd love to see her do a fight scene in that.
Yeah.
Oh my
with
god.
With
the fucking mallet.
With the fucking mallet. Yes.
With the mallet. In that costume with the mallet.
Or the giant gun with the boxing glove.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be so fucking cool.
Well, they took the time to give Huntress like a version of her outfit towards the end of the film, which I thought was really cool.
When they form the Birds of Prey.
Yeah.
I didn't like how they looked. I thought
they looked hokey, but I
Yeah.
think it's intentional.
Oh, okay.
I think the idea is that they're doing like a gimmick group of crime fighters, so they feel like they have to look like that.
Okay.
So I think that going forward, they will look less like
Boy,
that.
I hope so. Because it looked like they went into TJ Maxx and in the 80s.
I mean, realistically, if you're
TJ Maxx in the 80s,
you can't like nitpick that stuff because most of the comic accurate costumes in other movies look fucking ridiculous.
I mean, I just
Yeah, they got to ground them somehow.
I mean, but otherwise you're just gonna get like an X-Men 2000 leather because
I get it. No, I do, and but I'm just saying, to me, it looked hokey. It looked hokey.
No, I agree. Like, when they showed up, I was like, oh wow, they went for it. That's awesome, but like awesomely bad. Like, that's what I thought. You know, like I wasn't looking at it like, holy shit, they're in that. I just was like, wow, they're wearing that. Like, but I laughed. Like, it was like a funny moment to me. I don't know if it was intentionally funny, but I laughed because I was like, oh fuck, that's what they're wearing. Like, but yeah, I mean, I just, overall, dude, I just thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, overall, I think it was a good experience, and I'm genuinely excited to own this on Blu-ray and watch it again, and just kind of like keep my eyes peeled for anything else in the background that I might have missed.
Oh, dude, I was trying to find anything in the background. Like, obviously they did they fucking did in Ace Chemicals, which I thought was such a cool fucking moment.
Yeah.
I definitely thought she was going to kill herself though.
Or at least try and fail.
Yeah, I didn't see her jumping out. I thought she was just going to ride right through that motherfucker. But like, there were so many moments of just like, fuck, they're just having a great fucking time doing this.
I think, and especially some of like the different sets and stuff like that, I feel like this really did take place like within the Arkham universe, like within that game series, because they had Amusement Mile. They had, like,
dude,
the
just
Foundry.
the inclusion. When she said meet me at Amusement Mile, I was like, oh fuck. And then they go into the booby trap and they're in this like room that was clearly like a hideout,
Yeah.
right? Like previously used. And then obviously then she opens the gun cabinet that's all empty, and which was hilarious.
Yeah.
But just the idea that like she's just going through her old stomping grounds, basically.
Yeah.
She knows she has places she knows she can hide out from things.
I popped when she called Joker a jizz mop. I thought that was great.
I think this movie would have benefited huge by having like someone like Commissioner Gordon involved. Like if they brought J.K. Simmons
cameo. Yeah, because it was originally supposed to have a version of Barbara Gordon, but they nixed that.
in. Yeah, like early, I think.
Which, yeah, and I think that was still when they were thinking about maybe doing it as Gotham City Sirens. But I think also, just from a logistical standpoint, you want to see if she could hold her own on her own.
Fair.
Yeah.
So you don't want to, because if people reviled Suicide Squad, which some people still do, the next thing in that line, you don't want it to have huge names like Catwoman and Poison Ivy.
Right.
And
No, that's fair.
you don't want to drag those into that, because people will be like, well, fuck that, I'm not seeing it. So I think this is a good installment to get us to that next thing, hopefully. Because like now, I feel like there's plenty of goodwill with this that I'm definitely going to get it on Blu-ray. And if they announce that they're doing Gotham City Sirens, or if they want to call it Harley Quinn, or whatever fuck thing that they want to do to continue that line of like, this is the continuum of this story, I'm totally in for what they do based off of this into a Gotham City Sirens movie.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I love living in this universe, and I like seeing more and more of it. And we got a lot of like bright spots in Gotham, which I liked.
Yeah. It was like during the daytime
Yeah.
and shit.
Yeah.
Like it was definitely a different version of Gotham than we've ever seen.
And like seeing Harley walk around in the daytime like she owns the place. That's exactly how I would picture that character doing that. Like she's
Right.
like, just got out of Arkham. I'm going to go get a breakfast sandwich.
Right.
Right. It was cool. It was really cool. And I love that they like the psychosis that she has. Like she goes in and out of like being super smart because she does have a doctorate.
Yeah.
And then just goes into like completely zany and wild.
Right.
I think it's so interesting. Like the dynamic in her brain is so awesome.
Yeah, I don't think I'll watch this again. I definitely would be in for, if the next thing is Gotham City Sirens, absolutely I'd be in for that. If it's Birds of Prey again, I think I'd be in because I want to see more of them as well.
Right.
But yeah, this definitely falls in like the weaker of the DC movies for me. I definitely would put Aquaman. I said to you yesterday, Rob, that basically this is the opposite of my take on Aquaman. Like I disliked more than I liked in this movie. I liked more than I disliked in Aquaman. So I would definitely put Wonder Woman, Shazam, Aquaman over this. And I just, I really would love for DC to just figure out what they're doing, because again, we did just get the standalone Joker, and now we got this, and we don't know what's happening with the Batman movie that will be coming out. We just
and Wonder Woman 84 is on the horizon.
which again, they had a trailer for that, and it just looks fucking awesome. So I really hope I really hope that's good. I just would love for DC and Warner Brothers to get their shit together and fucking clear up all the muddy water,
Well, I think really what they're gonna do is just like only connect what they want to connect and just keep pumping movies out now.
Yeah.
Which is not what anybody wants,
right?
But they seem to think that's
like their safe bet strategy.
It will make money. They'll find a way to make it make money. I know that.
I mean, they found a way to make Joker make fucking money, dude.
Fucking over $1 billion, I think. It's nuts.
Ridiculous. But that's not this movie.
Nah.
Let's get some money for Harley Quinn, all right?
Hell yeah. I think the better that this does, the better off all of the DC universe will be. And the more risky Warner Brothers will be willing to be with titles and properties and like who's involved in what.
Fair. I hope they get better writers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who wrote this.
Christina Hodson.
Just straight up just one person wrote it?
Yeah.
That's got to be a first for a fucking Warner Brothers movie. That's got to be.
Right.
So
They trusted one person's script so much that they just let her, like, every other fucking Warner Brothers movies had so much meddling.
She wrote the Bumblebee movie.
Oh.
Okay.
And she's been announced to be working on the screenplay for The Flash.
Okay.
Oh.
So,
I could see The Flash fitting in with this universe.
yeah.
And I could really see Aquaman fitting in with this as well. And Shazam.
Oh, I could see them all fitting together. I just want DC to do it. Like, just
Pull the trigger.
like, just get Jeff Johns or someone. I just wish they would get someone who's a visionary, put it in their hands, and then
let them
do it. And if they have a movie that fucks up right out the gate, then they have a movie that fucks up right out of the gate. Hopefully they take from that stumble and then they put together a record marathon run.
And then rather than fucking pull the carpet out from underneath it if one movie stumbles.
Exactly.
Which is what they did last time.
Exactly.
Because if they allowed Zack Snyder's vision of those three films to come together, honestly, I think they would have had their fucking minds blown. We all would have been like, fuck.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
We would have probably viewed that as on the level of like the Dark Knight trilogy, like looking at those movies as like their own thing.
Yeah.
But they couldn't stand how critics reacted to Batman versus Superman, and they just got scared, and it's still fucking up the hierarchy, and it's still fucking up release dates for movies that they announced
years
ago.
Yeah.
Like, it's ridiculous that they're that fucking scared.
Yeah.
That fucking scared. Like, do they not realize that Marvel Studios has Disney? Of course they're not scared. They have everything in fucking place. You just plug shit in and roll it the fuck out, and it's going to make $1 billion for Marvel. That's what happens. Like, it's crazy to me that they're like, how do we fucking figure this out? And it's like, maybe just do it yourself.
Right. Do your own thing.
Just let somebody do it. Stay out of their fucking way. There's plenty of fucking smart people that enjoy this canon of characters that would be more than capable of handling this shit, but they're so fucking shit scared of it.
Look, time and again, Batman is the most beloved superhero of all time. It's just Spider-Man obviously is very popular worldwide. Batman is, and you can, maybe you can argue Superman, but I think it really always does come down to Batman. Like, and that's DC, and that's
he won our tournament.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
He beat fucking Spider-Man in the final.
We did our lists, and Batman was, for 3 out of 4 of us was the top. So, I just hope they figure it out, because look, they're not going to lose me as a fan or as someone who will go and watch these. I mean, obviously I didn't watch Joker, but I'm on board for what's going on.
You said you want to watch a DC movie. Anyway.
Well, the thing about that too, and a lot of things that people were complaining about with Birds of Prey or whatever, and they're like, that's not my Harley or whatever, but they'll love Joker and say like, oh, he's a visionary because he's taken him outside of the box. But really, that's just not the character at all. Whereas Harley is 100% that character.
Fair enough.
100%.
So, any final thoughts on Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn?
I enjoyed it. I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm happy for Margot Robbie and just everybody that was involved with it. Hopefully they, I say this about everything. Hopefully they like take some of the critiques that come with this about the script, because they are legitimate, and they learn from it and move into making it just a better overall movie. And I think I agree with the Metacritic score. Like B+ is fair to me.
Yeah.
If you asked me when I left the theater, I probably would have said B-. But like in retrospect and thinking about it over the weekend and kind of chewing on the fun shit that happens, like I would definitely say B+ is fair.
Yeah, that's the cinema score. I don't know what the Metacritic is. Yeah.
Okay.
But the I think Rotten Tomatoes there, that's, I know you hate that, but it is around like 82, 83% something. So again, that's B,
yeah.
you know. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I don't regret having seen it. I don't think I'll see it again, but I am still on board for whatever comes next, involving this character and involving the Birds of Prey and hopefully Gotham City Sirens. I want that really badly.
Yeah, I want to see more from pretty much everyone here, including Huntress and Black Canary.
Oh, God.
I want to see them.
Mary Elizabeth Winstead is so awesome.
She was fantastic in the movie. I loved how one note... cool, calm, and collected she was throughout, whereas Harley got to play off of her with her zaniness.
Right.
She was like, "You're so cool." Like
the crossbow killer. Fuck! Awesome. It's not the crossbow killer,
dude. That was so funny.
And then her name is Journey Smollett Bell.
Yeah,
was Black Canary. She was great, dude. And she actually, that was her singing in the
that's
club.
awesome.
That's her legitimate voice. That's not like they didn't dub that or whatever.
Yeah. I loved the movie for the most part. Issues aside, I thought it was a ton of fun. I encourage everyone to go out and at least see it instead of relating it. Oh, well, I didn't see Suicide Squad, or I didn't like Suicide Squad, so I'm not going to like this. I think they're two totally different movies, especially tonally.
Definitely.
So I definitely encourage you to check it out. For Pop Cannon, this has been episode 34. My name is Jordan.
I am Robert, and I'm glad Mr. Zaz is dead.
And I'm Puddin'. I mean, Brian. I'm Brian. Go get an egg sandwich, everyone.
Fuck, dude, that does sound good. Shit.
Yeah, I'm hungry now. Now I gotta.
Yeah, I am. I'm very hungry.
Just a little bit of hot sauce. Not too much.
Happy Valentine's Day. You just listened to our review of the Warner Brothers DC Comics film Birds of Prey. Did you ignore all the biased, negative press toward yet another DC film and see it for yourself? If so, what did you think of it? Not the regurgitated thoughts of some think piece hell-bent on stopping DC live-action films altogether, but your thoughts. How fucking fantabulous is Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn? Do you think she captures the character's manic, frenetic energy well? How about the other characters? Black Canary, Huntress, and Renee Montoya. How do you feel about what we got from Cassandra Cain? Did Ewan McGregor smash it as Roman Sionis? Did you enjoy the action sequences? How about being shown Harley's actual struggle with her breakup with the Joker? Did you like Harley as the unreliable narrator? We want to hear what you thought about this movie, and telling us cannot be easier. Simply search Pop Cannon on Facebook, Twitter, and or Instagram to connect with us, and maybe throw a follow our way while you're at it. Just don't forget the K, as in JK, stands for just kidding. All the kids say that on their messaging apps. And while you're out there searching for our content, might as well subscribe to Pop Cannon on your preferred purveyor of popular podcasts. We're nearly on all of them. And maybe toss a 5-star review to your witchers there too. If you enjoy our pods, why not? Speaking of enjoyment, you can follow me, Robert, on Twitter and Instagram at Yesball. Jordan can be followed on Twitter and Instagram at JL24FPS. And Brian? Brian's had it pretty rough these last few weeks. He finally secured a job driving a chemical truck and was bringing in some decent money. Unfortunately, truck stops sell 72-ounce fountain sodas for like a nickel or whatever, and Brian grabbed himself 2. He was nearing his drop-off, but just couldn't hold his piss any longer and decided to pull his truck over about 1.5 miles away from his destination and relieve himself on the street. It was in the middle of the night, who cares? He's midstream when suddenly his truck starts rolling forward. In an attempt to stop it, he begins running after it, but realizes someone has hijacked this truck, and they're barreling right toward the chemical plant with it. Then, the driver vaults herself out of the driver's seat, and Brian watches on in horror as the best thing that's happened to him in a long time is blown to smithereens in a cavalcade of explosions and pretty colors due to the chemical reactions. He was fired and disgraced. But he knew something that would cheer him up really quickly, and that was an egg sandwich. There was this place close by that he knows that does an incredible egg, bacon, and cheese sandwich with a little bit of hot sauce. Brian knew this would be the only thing that could cheer him up after such a horrible night. He arrived at the restaurant and placed his order, but Sal, the cook, tells him that the last of his bacon just walked out the door. Enraged, Brian storms out to see who got the last sandwich, and he watches on in horror as some very pale woman throws that sandwich, that last bit of hope, that final slice of happiness to the ground. Ruined. Brian swore vengeance on that day against the pale woman. In this city, there's really only two categories one can fall in: seedy criminal underbelly and blue-collar work. The latter had spurned Brian due to a situation out of his control, but the former, well, hey, the former may just pay some dividends for Brian after all. A few days later, he and his small crew receive word that some guy named Sionis needs them to meet at Amusement Mile and to bring masks. Masks? Brian hasn't needed a mask since he was trick-or-treating in high school. Luckily, he saved that Scream mask with the blood pump. That should do it. Sadly, it's been like 20 years, and the blood is crusted over on the mask, and the blood pump is no longer viable. Fuck it. He brings it along. They arrive at Amusement Mile, and Brian very quickly realizes he is in way over his head. That was episode 34. Stay tuned for our return to the S1E1 series, a review of Disney Pixar's Onward, A Quiet Place 2, and much, much more. Thank you for listening. You, yes you. Seriously.